Is it possible to wake up and not be governed by thought? To see it, feel it, prove it, not someday, but this morning? Yes, yes, it is possible. Now let us for a minute accept a statement that will seem too simple and therefore too easily tossed aside, and yet it is the crux on which your day will turn. Thought is not law. Consciousness is law. All right, if that is so, then all that rush of ideas, plans, fears, forecasts that splashes in at the edges of waking, do you know what that is? Noise, suggestion, not authority, not government, not the decree by which your hours must unfold. A human being can't help that first surge. A human being can't help that. But you are not a human being governed by the surge. You are consciousness, and the mind, listen, mind is an instrument, a tool, a servant appearing in you. You are not the mind, not the stream, not the commentator, not the planner, not the historic narrator replaying yesterday with edits. Who is aware of the thought? Who hears the noise? Who observes the parade without marching? That one is not thought. That one is the consciousness I am. That one is the Christ within, your very awareness of being, the life that says, I and the Father are one. Now, if consciousness is law, and there are no detached outer effects, don't forget this. We will be quoting it all through the day. Then the picture you will call my day at work, in the home, in the body, in the appointment book and the bank ledger, is a projection of that inner government. It is not managed by fixing the outer, nor by improving the stream of thinking, but by withdrawing belief from thought's claim to power and consenting to the only power, consciousness of God. Since I am one with my source, nothing can be added to me by thought. Nothing. Nothing. And nothing can be taken from me by thought. So why argue with it? Why push it, polish it, fear it? Be still and know. Your first reaction is, but if I do not think through the day, who pays the bills? Who answers the emails? Who fixes the meeting? That's not true. There isn't anybody within range of my voice who cannot prove that the moment you return to the secret place before you answer the world, decisions clarify. Timing orders itself. Words find you rather than you hunting words. The function of thought becomes simple. Messenger, not monarch. Clerk, not king. Consciousness writes the law. Thought delivers the envelope. So the promise is practical. The governance of your day shifts at the very threshold of waking. Not by better thinking, but by recognizing thinking's lack of authority and standing in the one law. Enter the inner sanctuary, before your feet find the floor, before you greet the household, before you open the device, and consent. Greater is He that is within me than whatever appears without. Then watch how the noise quiets, not because you conquered it, but because you refused to crown it. This is how the day is decided. This is where dominion begins. Now let us walk together through the first 10 minutes. Because that is where the day is usually given away, and where, beginning this morning, it can be reclaimed. The alarm breaks the darkness. Buzzer, chime, vibration, it does not matter. And before you know it, the hand is reaching, not for God, not for silence, but for the little square of glass. It lights. A number sits over the inbox, a red dot, a calendar tile, a missed call. And immediately there is the chorus. Hurry, you're late, you're behind, something's wrong. Check it, fix it, answer now. The body joins it. Stiffness in the shoulder names itself pain. A flutter in the chest gets baptized as anxiety. A list of tasks projects itself across the inner screen like a headline. Rent, payroll, breakfast, the meeting with the one who never smiles, the report due yesterday. A human being can't help that first surge. A human being can't help that. The human pattern is a reflex. We accept the first thought as fact. We accept the first fear as prophecy. We accept the first plan as necessity. And then we begin to do what humans have always done when they believe thought is law. We worry, scheme, plan, connive, defend, attack, justify, rehearse, bargain, apologize in advance, and then do it all again in case the first run wasn't enough. Health. What if it gets worse? Money. What if it doesn't come? Relationships. What if they think less of me? Reputation. What if I fail? Deadlines. What if it's too late? And with each what if, we bind another cord around the day and call it responsibility. Now tell me, who appointed that thought? Who authorized it? Who made it law? Did the government of God sign that decree? No, no. The mind may shout. Suggestion may parade. The calendar may display its boxes like prison cells, but there are no detached outer effects. All flows forth from consciousness. All right. If consciousness is law, then before the feet touch the floor, you have an authority move, and it is not another thought. It is recognition. Be still one moment. Let the device remain face down. Let the eyes soften. Let the breath reveal itself. And notice the one who is noticing. Who hears the hum of the room, the bird, the distant traffic without anxiety? Who is present before the first email, before the first demand? That one is not thought. That one is the Christ within, your very awareness of being. Here in this stillness, you make no bargains, mount no defenses, issue no counter-arguments. You consent. Greater is he that is within me than whatever appears without. I and the Father are one. All that the Father hath is mine. Not to accumulate phrases, but to stand in one truth long enough for the false crown to fall from thought's head. In that minute, sometimes it is 60 seconds only, you feel the governance change. The shoulders let go. The breath deepens. The clock does not speed, but the fear of time dissolves. And then thought can take its rightful place. Clerk, not king. Messenger, not monarch. Carrying out what consciousness has already decreed. Your morning does not need better thoughts. It needs the recognition that thoughts have no authority over consciousness. This is the gate of the day. Step through it, and the day begins to step through you. Now we come to the mind's greatest trick. And it is so simple, so respectable, that most of us have bowed to it for years. I think, therefore I am. And in a breath that becomes, I am my thinking. All right. Now let us for a minute accept another statement. The mind is an instrument. It is not identity. It reports. It does not decree. It measures. It does not create. It suggests. It does not govern. You are not fear, not ambition, not memory, not prediction, not regret, not even inspiration, until it is discerned in consciousness. You are the awareness to which all of that appears and from which the real is revealed. Your first reaction is, but I can't stop thinking. Of course, A human being can't help that. A human being can't help that. The stream runs. The radio at the corner of consciousness hums, whether you ask for music or not. But hear this. There is a law here. You do not have to obey thinking. You do not have to crown it. You do not have to identify as it. Let it chatter. Let it inventory yesterday and forecast tomorrow. The sky is not troubled by the weather. Do you see? Rain passes, thunder passes. Even a hurricane must move on. The sky remains. Remains. The awareness that knows the passing does not become the passing. Now you come to the difference between thought and spiritual discernment. Thought is reaction, stimulus and reflex, push and pull. He said, she did, I will. All on the horizontal line of cause meeting effect out there. Consciousness is revelation, vertical light, not derived from conditions and not arguing with them. Thought chatters. Christ within is still. Thought assembles facts. Consciousness reveals truth. Thought edits the scene. Consciousness writes the law that scene must yield to. Be still and know is not a suggestion to suppress mind. It is an instruction to stand as what you are while the instrument does what instruments do. All right, how do we practice this identity? Not by wrestling thoughts to the ground, by separating from them. Observe a fear rise. Do not baptize it, my fear. Observe an ambition surge. Do not baptize it, my calling. Observe a memory ache. Do not baptize it, my history. Let it be weather. Let it pass through. And in that instant of not claiming, you will find the secret place opens of itself. Because you cannot simultaneously be the storm and be the sky. Greater is he that is within me than whatever appears as a cloud before me. In that recognition, the storm reports to you. It does not possess you. Don't forget this. There are no detached outer effects. If you identify as the storm, you must live a stormy day. If you rest as the sky, the day cannot write thunder into you. Freedom begins the moment you see that mind is a tool appearing in you, not the you itself. Then mind becomes useful again, like a faithful clerk taking dictation from the silence, not a counterfeit king issuing noisy laws. And in that order, decisions clarify, timing orders itself, and your steps, unhurried, are governed from within. Now you come to another law, and don't let it slip by because it sounds familiar. There are no detached outer effects. All flows forth from consciousness. This is not poetry. This is not optimism. This is causation. If you hold thought as authority, you shape a state of consciousness. Fear consciousness, lack consciousness, conflict consciousness. And that state must externalize after its kind. Not because God punishes, because law fulfills itself. To him that hath shall be given is not favoritism. It is the description of how awareness multiplies what it entertains. All right, take the day. Meetings, energy, chance encounters, timing. You say, it was a bad meeting. No, no. The meeting is a picture on the screen. Your consciousness is the projector. Come into it with pressure as your king, and you will externalize pressure. Rushed words, defensive ears, missed cues. Come into it with the quiet fact. I and the Father are one. The wisdom I need is present as presence. And watch how timing orders itself. How the one who was always late arrives early. How the point you feared would be attacked dissolves without argument. How the exact phrase forms as needed, not rehearsed 100 anxious times the night before.
Energy? You have been taught to fix it with stimulants or slogans. But energy is the externalization of the inner stance. Fear consciousness burns itself in the first hour and calls it drive. Lack consciousness hoards its strength and calls it prudence. Christ consciousness, consciousness of God as life, as supply, moves unhurried and accomplishes more with less strain because it does not argue with time. My times are in thy hand is a law. See it, and time ceases to be a bully.
Now the practical. The email arrives. Inconsiderate, sharp, maybe unjust. A human being can't help the first jolt. A human being can't help that. But you do not change the email first. You change the you who reads it. Put it down. Return to the secret recognition. Greater is he that is within me than whatever appears without. Then read again. You will see sentences you missed. You will answer the question actually asked, not the accusation you imagined. And the thread that would have tied your afternoon in knots never forms. Traffic? You do not move the cars. You move the fear that turns a delay into a tragedy of reputation, or a license for rage. Consent to inner government, and you will find the route opening, or the call rescheduled without penalty, or the silence becoming the exact rest that prevents the 3 p.m. mistake. High performer, listen. Performance is not the product of mental strain. It is the fruit of inner alignment. The clearest mind is the servant of a settled consciousness. Clarity, timing, right action, these are not effects you chase. They are qualities of the one who lives your life as you when you stop crowning thought and yield to law. When consciousness is understood as the cause, the day is no longer something you manage outwardly. It is something you embody inwardly. Therefore, the work ahead is not better managing thoughts or polishing effects. It is entering the secret place where Christ consciousness is realized and allowed to govern before a word is spoken or a step is taken. Now we go there. Now we go where the day is governed before a word is spoken. The secret place. What is it? Not a mood, not a trance, not the pleasant quiet that comes after coffee or a walk. The secret place is the inner sanctuary of realized presence, the recognition, felt, not argued, that God is the only power, and that this God is not out there, not to be fetched, not to be persuaded, but the life, the mind, the law within you. Call it Christ within if you like. Call it awareness of being. The name is not the power. The realization is the power. In other words, it is the moment in which you cease granting authority to thought and you consent to the only authority. That is the secret place. All right, how do we enter it before we answer the world? Do not make a ceremony of it. Sit up. Let the feet touch the floor, or let the spine find its length in bed. Breathe, not to get calm, but to notice that life is already breathing you. Let the first suggestions parade by. What you must do, what you forgot, what could go wrong, and do not argue with a single one. Simply withdraw consent. Quietly, gently, say within yourself, I do not accept this thought as law. Not this fear, not this plan, not this memory. I do not deny you exist as sound. I deny you status as government. Then take one truth, only one, and let it be your treatment. I and the Father are one. Or, greater is he that is within me than whatever appears without. Or simply, God is. Yes. Yes. One statement is enough when practiced. Truth cannot be multiplied, and it cannot be divided. One sun lights the day.
Your first reaction is, but will that change anything? That's not true. Don't forget this. There are no detached outer effects. All flows forth from consciousness. You are not stacking positive thoughts like sandbags against a flood. You are not decorating a fearful mind with brighter paint. This is not positive thinking. This is spiritual realization. We are not trying to think better. We are yielding to that which is before thought, behind thought, and infinitely above thought. Be still and know is not a performance. It is a consent. Stay with your one truth long enough for the inner nod to register, that soft release where the shoulders drop and the breath reveals itself as sufficiency. No time required. Sometimes 60 seconds will do it, sometimes longer. But wait until you know, not emotionally, but as quiet fact, that the crown has been lifted from thought's head. Now you will notice the difference at once. The impulse to bargain with the day loosens. The rush to answer, to fix, to explain softens. Ideas still come, but they arrive as messengers, not monarchs. A text will be sent, a call returned, a plan outlined, but from the secret place. And when action issues from realized presence, it carries law with it. Timing is in order. The word fits. The meeting takes its right shape. Not because you forced the outer, but because cause has been established within. The secret place is never escape. Never. It is the only place from which right action is born. Enter first, always first, and then go out and answer the world with the authority of that which sent you. Now we take the next turn, and it is a reversal so simple that the human mind will try to step around it, because it cannot use it to get anything. Humanness is getting. Always on the lookout for what we can get, earn, achieve, deserve, win. Results, numbers, applause, position. Spirituality is giving. Not as a tactic, not as a strategy to get more later, but as the natural overflow of realized supply. Since I am one with my source, nothing can be added to me by the day, and nothing can be taken from me by the day. Therefore, the day is not a campaign to acquire. It is a channel to express. All right, high performer, listen. Your culture has taught you to extract productivity from the hours, to squeeze value out of every minute, to treat time like an orange and your jaw like a press. That is getting. And what hides beneath it? Competition, comparison, control, proving. Proving to whom? To the mind's picture of yourself. The mind manufactures urgency to secure identity. If I don't win this, if I don't post that, if I don't outpace them, who am I? That's not true. Identity is not earned by performance. Identity is realized as consciousness, the Christ within. And from that realization, function flows like a river on a grade. Quiet, constant, effective. Now take the reversal. The day is not for getting peace. It is for giving peace. Not for getting approval, for giving integrity. Not for getting security, for giving trust. Not for getting love, for giving presence. That is spiritual arithmetic, and it never fails because there are no detached outer effects. What you embody as consciousness must externalize after its kind. You carry peace in. You do not beg it from a schedule. You carry integrity in. You do not barter it for position. You carry trust in.
You do not gamble for it with maneuvers. Practical? Yes. Yes. In the meeting, refrain from the first impulse to dominate the air. Be still, 3 breaths, and listen for the question beneath the words in the room. Then give what is needed: the clarifying sentence, the unifying phrase, the simple, "We don't know yet, let's find out," offered without fear. You are not getting the win. You are giving order, giving honesty, giving timing. And watch how the outcome aligns, because cause has been established within. In the family, shift from fixing to presence. Sit with the one who aches without prescribing. Give attention, not advice. When presence is given, answers rise without your pushing, and peace replaces the noise. At work, choose straight dealing over maneuvering. No false representations, no hedged commitments meant to trap the other fellow while you keep a back door. Give the truth, kindly, firmly, promptly. When you give integrity, you cannot lose anything real. Your own shall come to you. In fitness, lay down punishment. The body is not an enemy to be subdued, it is an instrument to be cared for. Give care. Rest when rest is law. Movement when movement is joy. Nourishment as respect. Energy will appear as the effect of right relationship, not as a prize you wrestle from self-contempt. Do you see the thread? When you are not the mind, you stop using outcomes to define yourself, and the day becomes an avenue of divine function. Then thought has no leverage because it cannot threaten what you are, nor bribe you with what you already have in God. From the secret place, you go out not to get, but to give. And in the giving, you discover the only real increase: consciousness unfolded as living law. Now, the moment you take this reversal and begin to give the day instead of get from it, the mind rises in respectable robes and objects. But I must plan. But my anxiety keeps me sharp. But I have responsibilities. But if I don't think it through, I'll fail. A human being can't help that first protest. A human being can't help that. All right, let us answer, not with argument, but with law. Planning is not the enemy. Treating thought as authority is the enemy. Anxiety is not intelligence. It is suggestion masquerading as duty. Responsibility is not abdicated. It is redeemed from the false governor. Now let us for a minute accept the simple distinction that ends half the argument. There are 2 kinds of planning. One is born of fear in the mind, compulsive, hurried, self-important, editing the future to secure a fragile identity. The other arises as calm clarity and consciousness, ordered, proportioned, timely, without the scent of panic. 2 sources, 2 fruits. No, no. Fear is not guidance. No. Pressure is not power. No. Haste is not wisdom. Wisdom is gentle and firm. Power is quiet and unafraid. Guidance is the still small voice that does not shout, does not scold, does not threaten you with what happens if you refuse it. Then how do I know which is which? All right, here is your quick test, and it will serve you 1,000 times a day if you let it. If a thought produces contraction in the chest, a tightening in the throat, a rush of self-importance, I must, I alone, I or else, that is not law. That is suggestion. Put it down. If a thought arrives with quiet certainty, with a note of love for those it will touch, with spaciousness that allows you to breathe and bless while you act, that may be the still small voice. Obey it. You do not abandon responsibility. You abandon the mind's claim to be the governor of responsibility. You consent to the inner government
and then you carry out its decree. But I must think it through. Think, yes. Worship, no. Let the mind lay out the calendar, but let consciousness set the order. Let the clerk sharpen the pencil, but do not put a crown on the clerk's head. Watch what happens. The same plan, when taken in fear, becomes a whip. Taken in realized presence, it becomes a yoke that is easy and a burden that is light. The same budget, in lack consciousness, shrinks the future and breeds suspicion. In God consciousness, since I and the Father are one, my supply is infinite, it becomes a tool of clarity and honest stewardship. The same difficult conversation, rehearsed 100 times in anxiety, ends in defense. Held in the secret place until love is felt, concludes in truth without harm. Won't I fall behind if I let go of the pressure? That's not true. Don't forget this. There are no detached outer effects. All flows forth from consciousness. Pressure consciousness breeds mistakes and rework. Peace consciousness sees the shortest line between need and right action. But the world moves fast. My times are in thy hand. Speed without fear is simply timing under law. So the answer that ends the argument is not louder thought, it is return. Be still and know until the inner nod says, now. From there you plan, you speak, you move. And when you are sent from the secret place, the task is already provided for, the path is already cleared, and the mind, humbled, serves. It is midday. The morning's grace has done its work, and then a sound, ping, arrives like a stone through glass. A critical message, a surprise bill, a terse line from the one who promised to deliver and did not. Or the text that says, we need to talk, with no smile, no context. Instantly the mind, trained, eager, dramatic, leaps to costume and stage. Blame the other, defend yourself, predict catastrophe. They're undermining me. I'll never cover this. If I don't answer now, it explodes. The body joins, the throat tightens, the stomach drops, the breath shortens, heat rises in the face. And do you see what begins? An entire afternoon drafted by a single frightened thought. A human being can't help that first jolt. A human being can't help that. But you are not a human being governed by the jolt. Now, wait. Yes, that is the whole technique in one word. Wait. Do not send, do not call, do not craft the paragraph that will sound righteous and land like a stone. Put the device down, face down if you must. Soften the jaw. Let the shoulders drop. Feel the feet. Breathe. Not to fix anything, but to remember you are not the thing to be fixed. Withdraw attention from the storyline as from a loud radio in a neighbor's house. Who hears the noise? Who notices the heat without becoming it? That one is not the mind. That one is the Christ within, the awareness of being, the secret place already here. Be still and know. Now you reassert law, not argument. Don't forget this. There are no detached outer effects. All flows forth from consciousness. The email is not a cause, it is a picture. The bill is not a fate, it is a report. The tone in that message is not a sentence, it is weather. The invitation is not to intensify reaction, it is to shift state. One sentence, only one, and let it be your treatment. God is here. Or, thy grace is sufficient. Or, I and the Father are one. Repeat gently, not as magic,
not as a chant to persuade the heavens, but as your consent to what already governs. Whisper it inwardly until the urge to react begins to unhook, until the breath moves without your command and the shoulders confess their weight to the chair.
All right, now act. From Stillness. Read the message again. You will see what was not seen. You will answer the question actually asked, not the accusation your fear manufactured. Call the bank and state the fact without plea. Watch a late fee drop because the tone carried law, not panic. Write to the colleague, I see the miss, here is the correction and the new time, and feel the heat leave the thread. Step into the office and say, I hear your concern. Let's clarify the objective. And notice how the room reorders around calm. My times are in thy hand. So the call lands at the right minute. The door opens without force. The exact phrase arrives as if it had been waiting. Do you see? One pause, 60 seconds, 3 breaths, one truth can save 6 hours from being spent in a story that never had authority. A single return to the secret place prevents an entire day from being written by one frightened thought. And the mind, humbled again, serves. Now we must speak plainly, because this is the hinge upon which the entire day swings. What is Christ? Not a person apart from you to be fetched in emergencies. Not a figure to be admired at a distance. Christ is a state of consciousness, your very awareness when it is free of fear, governed by spirit, beholding only God as cause and law. Christ in you, the hope of glory, not Christ somewhere, not Christ sometime. Christ as your inner government, fearless, loving, unhurried, uncoerced. In that consciousness there is no bargaining, no pleading, no counterpunching. There is recognition. God is the only power. God is the source and infinity of my being. All right, that is government. Now contrast this with the mind. The mind reacts to externals, emails, numbers, symptoms, opinions, like a weather vane in a storm. Up with a compliment, down with a criticism. Confident at 8 a.m. when the dashboard is green, desolate at 10 when it flickers red. The human mind can't help that. The human mind can't help that. But you are not the mind. Christ consciousness is not impressed, not hypnotized, not coerced. It does not deny appearances. It refuses to bow to them. Be still and know is its posture, and from that stillness it issues law. Peace, be still. My times are in thy hand. I and the Father are one. Look at the modern idols and see how they parade for our worship. Metrics, followers, conversions, clicks claim to tell you who you are. Markets swell and sink and threaten your security. Politics shouts doom and demands that you fear your neighbor. Health news scrolls symptoms and statistics and baptizes you as a case. Social media says, bow to me or I will erase you. That's not true. Hear the law. Externals in themselves have no power. The only power they seem to have is the belief we lend them. Take your belief back, and their sting dissolves. Thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. Yes, yes. When consciousness returns authority to God, externals return to being pictures on the screen, not hands at your throat. Do not mistake this for indifference. No, no. This is not hardening the heart. It is softening the fear.
Christ consciousness is compassion without hypnosis. It meets a symptom and does not panic. It loves the one before it and refuses to crown the symptom king. It meets a falling metric and does not scheme. It listens for order and gives the honest correction born of peace. It meets political frenzy and does not hate. It holds to the law of one life expressing as many, and then speaks and votes without venom. It meets a frightened child and does not lecture. It gathers, blesses, quiets. All right, practice this government. Before you answer a headline, a dashboard, a message, retire inward one breath and hand back the crown. Greater is he that is within me than whatever appears without. Consent to the inner rule, then move. You will find that timing obeys you, not because you are forceful, but because you are aligned. You will find that the right word appears, not because you rehearsed, but because you were governed. And you will find that bondage loosens, not out there first, but in here. And when the fetter breaks within, there are no detached outer effects. The picture must follow the projector. This is Christ as consciousness, the inner government that doesn't fear externals, and therefore cannot be mastered by them. Now we come to evening, when the noise lowers itself, and the day, like a tide, leaves on the shore what it carried and what it could not keep. All right, do not rush past this holy hour. Sit quietly, not to edit, not to improve, but to behold. Ask simply, where did I let thought decide? Where did I return to consciousness? Keep it tender. A human being can't help the first startle, the first hurry, the first little pride or fear. A human being can't help that. We are not here to condemn a human hour. We are here to witness the presence that arrived when we let the crown fall from thought's head. Now let us for a minute accept this. The day has been teaching you without accusation. Moments of strain, tight jaw, hurried word, the email sent too soon, reveal where thought was granted the status of law. Not sin, not failure. Feedback. Moments of ease, right word at the right time, the coincidence that spared 3 hours, the meeting that lifted instead of drained, reveal where presence was recognized as government. Don't forget this. There are no detached outer effects. All flows forth from consciousness. The pictures of the day are not judges. They are indicators, pointing you back to the inner state you entertained. So we do not shame the tightness. We harvest its lesson. We do not boast in the ease. We acknowledge its source. Your first reaction is, I didn't do it well enough. That's not true. That's not true. There isn't anybody within range of my voice that cannot do this, because it requires no scholarship, no accumulation, no cleverness, only willingness. One truth is sufficient. Truth cannot be multiplied, and it cannot be divided. Take one statement that has life in it for you, and let it be your law. I and the Father are one. Or, greater is he that is within me than whatever appears without. Or, God is. Yes, yes. One sun lights the night as surely as it lights the day, when you consent to see by it. Now prepare tomorrow tonight. Before the phone, before the calendar, before the body report, choose your single statement and place it upon your heart. Say within, in the morning I will not bargain with thought. I will return to the secret place first. Be still and know first. Let sleep be your first practice. My times are in thy hand. Surrender the residue, the praise, the blame, the confusion, the delight to that hand. You will discover that rest is not the absence of activity. Rest is the presence realized, and it will do more for your tomorrow than a dozen plans taken in fear. Finally, go into the secrecy of your own being. No display, no performance. Sit on the edge of the bed or lie back and breathe as if life were not a task, but a gift already given. Whisper your one truth until the shoulders confess their burden and the chest remembers it can open without asking permission. Fold your hands inwardly and wait, not idly but consentingly, under the shadow of the Almighty. The proof is not perfection. The proof is increasing return again and again, from thought's rule to consciousness's government. Tonight, return. In the night, return. And in the morning, wake already returned. Then watch how the picture yields, because the projector has been set to law. And the day, yours, unfolds from within.